Yeah, nice tries.
Okay, cool. We are live. So, welcome back to another podcast of Diary of an SEO. Today, we are joined by Charlie Clark, who owns Minty Digital. Charlie, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks. How are you boys?
Very good. So,
Good.
of course,
It's sunny.
you've got Craig and you've got myself, Josh, hosting this. But yeah, Charlie has run Minty Digital for nearly 7 years now, and doing a lot of cool stuff. So we actually did a podcast with Charlie in Barcelona about 2 years ago, and I think a lot has changed since then. So I think can dig into a lot of stuff there. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was Charlie. There's an article that was released recently. Craig sent me. It was from a company called Wow Company, and it was all about the state of the agency nation right now. So a few facts that really stood out to me on that was in 2023, 52% of agencies that are doing under $1 million grew in income fee. This is down from 71% this year before, and only marginally better than the 49% that was managed to grow in 2020, the year that COVID struck. So there's only 3% difference since the year of COVID, which was horrible for a lot of people. And the biggest challenge right now is winning new business. So something like 51% of people said that winning new business is extremely hard at the minute. So Charlie, how are you finding the agency landscape right now?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. You say that as well, because especially where you're saying the revenues are kind of plateauing because the cost of everything's gone up as well, right? So staff wages have gone up, inflation. So you have to, I mean, I think if you're not moving forward, you're actually, falling behind. It's the same just in the SEO landscape in general. But it's definitely more challenging. I've seen a lot of agencies, a lot of freelancers either struggling to get business, dropping off the map, and even ex agency owners or freelancers going into full-time employment again. There's a number of reasons behind it. I think there's definitely a few larger players that are kind of eating up a lot of the kind of customer base. But also a lot of agencies aren't differentiating themselves or offering any kind of USP. There's so many. It's a saturated market in a sense. There's a lot of different niches what people can go after, but if you're just offering blanket SEO, blanket digital marketing, you're not really going to stand out from the crowd. So I think one thing where I see a lot of people struggling in is they're not really clearly defining a message to the customers, what they can do, or any kind of USP. So it's definitely something what we've been working on. For a while, we looked at just kind of like the travel, leisure, and lifestyle niche. We've branched out a little bit from there now. But kind of our core kind of USP at the moment is, even though a few people are doing this still as well, the combination of SEO and digital PR combined into one service, mainly targeting English, American, and Spanish markets. It's just been working really, really well for us. My advice, I think, to agency owners that are trying to target a specific niche, and that's something else I see people missing on all the time, is case studies, building the reviews and just communicating results and what you can do to people consistently, not just posting, once a month on Twitter and hoping to bring some leads in. You need that consistency.
And Nick Jordan put up a nice post on Twitter yesterday because I put a tweet out. He replied to the tweet and he says, your first goal should be to get that case study, get a case study that blows everybody away and use that to double your budgets and get the next one. And if you look at Nick and what he's done, that's all he seems to have done is chase those big case studies. And it's such a simple message, but it's so smart and no one really does it. They just chase the revenue, right?
Yeah, it's true. And that's the thing as well. Also, I think it's important to make sure that you're keeping your eye on that goal as well. So for example, I can put my hand up and we've got about 4 or 5 big case studies that we've got in progress, but other things can get in the way sometimes. So I'm constantly pushing, trying to direct the team on the line that we're trying to move in. But it's really important. I think there's so many distractions. Things you can get distracted by in the digital world. like an analogy, I was talking to someone about this the other day. It's like, if you're a builder or like a bricklayer, you can't go on a building site every day and suddenly start building a house there, start building a thing there, like start building a pool out the back. You go in, you do your job, you leave. When you work in digital or you're an entrepreneur such as yourselves, I do this. I've got an agency. Now I focus just on the agency, but so many times I've start a SaaS product, start a course, I'll start this, I'll start that, and you end up with a bunch of jobs that are 25% complete when really
that was me last year.
you end up burnt out, and it's really hard to stay disciplined. And I think it's still quite new. Well, digital's been, SEO's been around for a while, but the amount of distractions and opportunities that are always there, it's easy to get distracted. And you only see the wins online as well. So you think something's a good idea, you see the people that are doing the top 1% that are doing the best, but you don't see all those 25% completed projects in the background. It's really important to stay focused.
And then what about your company? So did you do any internal projects to build up a case study, or like, I know everyone has their test sites, I believe you told me before, you do too, but do you have any of your own projects that you're building for a case study, or have built for case studies?
Do you mean in regards to clients or just internal projects?
Well, no, we were talking about like building case studies, right? And I was just curious if Minty has built its own projects to build its own case studies, or is doing that just now. You said just 6 you're working on.
Yeah, basically we're just really working on like campaign case studies that we've been doing. Like we've been really successful lately in Spanish markets. Been getting some massive coverage for in the digital PR space. So we're looking to push that out a lot more. The UK market, of course, as you guys know, like there's so many agencies, and there is in Spain as well. But I think from the digital PR perspective, like we've had a real opportunity to be able to carve a bit of a niche there, and build some decent case studies, and it's bringing in some large clients that are based here in the city as well. It's working really well for us.
Cool.
And in terms of those clients, Charlie, so we mentioned earlier that winning new business is extremely hard for a lot of agencies right now. What way do you guys win new business? Is it through referrals? Is it through personal branding?
I think personal branding, we market a lot through the agency ourselves. I go to events. We run some small meetups that I know you two have been to a couple of them before. People expect it's an instant society we live in as well. So I think people just expect business to come in. We do an event, business comes in the next day. It takes months, even years, to be able to bring these big clients in. We've worked with some customers recently that they first got in contact with us 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago, and they didn't initially need our service. We got ghosted. It happens all the time. But then, we're consistently marketing. We're consistently putting ourselves out there, and the goal is, I think personally, it's it's not always about the posts that you put up. They might get 1 or 2 likes, but then you've probably got, if you look at the impressions, sometimes you have 2,000, 3,000 people see a post. So even if you don't go viral and get 100 likes on it, so to speak, you're still getting a lot of people seeing it. And 3,000 impressions on a post, if you can actually think about having 3,000 people in the room, actually visualize that, then it's a lot of people seeing the messages. And eventually those people that initially inquired a year or so ago, they're going to need it. And when they do need it and they see your posts, that you get reminded and they put the inquiry in. So I think, again, coming back to consistency, patience, and just not expecting people to convert on day one is just really big. Don't just rush the sale. It takes time.
100%. And I think that's one thing that strikes a chord with me is that, Craig, we've talked about it as well. You can put so much effort into one post on LinkedIn, and I can hit just tiny amount of impressions, and then the one that you don't even try on just goes through the roof. But I think it's funny because Andy Holland talks about this, and actually Joe Davies did a post about it about a month ago. where he talked about his ICP was Adam, and he was like, they put like all these bullet points of what Adam looked like. He was an agency owner. This is what he was looking at, and how you should curate like every post to that. And it's same with Andy Holland. He was saying Andy's got like, I think nearly 60,000 followers on LinkedIn now. And he was like, if he really wanted to go viral on every post, he could try and do it towards the algorithm, but he wants to find, like, it's not about how many people they can reach, it's about how many we convert into clients.
No, you're right. And just to bring back on a point you said then as well, that the marketing persona, we have one of those as well. We have a clearly defined persona that we target. You know, we have all sorts of inquiries come in. We get the one-man bands, we get the startups, we get the enterprise, the marketing manager looking for support. There's a few. We've got them all profiled, but there's one that we specifically go after, and everything that we create, content-wise, or anything that I put out, is always targeted towards them, speaking to them and answering their questions. It's like we work with a lot of marketing managers. It's a lot of our kind of core target market that we do work with, and they're not going to be impressed if I start putting a load of technical content up on LinkedIn and start talking about the in-depth technical analysis of a website, a href langs. Some might be, but they just want results. They want more sales. They want more leads, and they want to be able to impress their bosses and keep their jobs and get promoted. So everything we do and all of our service offering is geared towards that, and that's what we're focused on. And that's helped us a lot as well, not just in client acquisition, but also client retention. Is something that we're just as big on, especially in today's kind of market.
Nice. And you mentioned there about clients taking a while to sign. So I've recently chatted to two agency owners that own some of the biggest SEO agencies in the UK. And I think everybody's feeling that at the minute, that it's just taking months, and as you said, maybe even a year plus for clients to actually sign. We're working with an agency at the minute that we're actually building a team for them at the minute, a digital PR team, and they were meant to have a client signed in December, and still it's still ongoing. So it's just been pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. But Charlie, as an agency owner, how do you forecast that? Like, do you just stay in defense mode? Like, how do you forecast for that?
Yeah, it's I've learned a lot about this in the last few years. So the first, I think, 3-4 years of business, if we get when we had like a big month or a big client sign on, I'll be like, wow, amazing. We've got this forever. We're going to grow. And I'd spend the money on hiring resources, basically not spend all the profit, but we investing a lot more into the company. But I've learned in the last few years, it's so unpredictable. I think I'd argue that COVID was easier for the SEO industry to grow more business. Like, there were so many grants going around, loans, financing. Now the last year has been kind of crunch time, where people have got to pay back those loans. People have had to pay back. Costs have gone up. People are really cutting their budgets, and we've been aware of that. So in regards to forecasting, like, we actually been a lot more lean in the case of how we're forecasting for the future. So we're saving as much as we can in the business to make sure any hire that we do make, even if that revenue isn't always there immediately, that we've at least got a 6 to 12 month window to bring it in. And based on like our previous kind of models that we've got in client acquisition, we keep track of all of that, so we know it's a safe bet when we do make the hire. But we also have a good network of contractors as well that do support us through the times where we need it. But as a rule of thumb, we've on our capacity planning spreadsheets, when we get to around 20% 80% capacity of either one of the teams, that's when we start the hiring process and we get things moving again.
Awesome.
Do you think you've overhired in the past too early?
Oh yeah, no, we have hired too early in the past. Yeah, I'm really cautious with it now. It's a massive decision for me to be able to make, because you're asking people to leave their jobs, leave security. And, in our case, like we're based in Barcelona, we've asked people to leave their country and make a massive move. So, as a founder, I need to be confident that when I'm making someone an offer, I can't just, just make that on a whim. I'm really, really cautious about it now. And I need to make sure that all of the right, factors are in place before I do make that hire. Because, I've had to let people go before, especially in the first few years, just because didn't have the right hiring processes in place. They weren't the right fit when they started, and that came from me rushing decisions rather than having a clear process in place. So yeah, been working on it, and I think we're in a really good place now. And we've got some senior staff in as well with a lot more agency experience. More than me. I actually was only in an agency for a few months before I started ours, but like I'm talking 10+ years experience some of our team have got now. So they've been able to help us develop that a lot more.
Awesome. And Charlie, then what's the thought process then? Because I know a lot of companies that just want to hire freelancers just for safety. They're like, right, if the work's not there, then we can cut ties, and everybody kind of knows what's happening. It's transparent. Whereas if you hire somebody full time in times like these, they're sketchy. It's up and down. What's the thought process on going for somebody that's full time?
So I mean, I think I'd argue against the fact that it's safe relying just on freelancers for an agency, because they are, freelancers for a reason. If a better offer comes along, if something changes, if they want to go, backpacking across India for 4 months, then they can do, and there's nothing you can really do about it. And it's what I've always found was, again, when I first started, we were just using Upwork and freelancers for the first year or so. Like from that first hire, it really made it clear to me that, once you've got someone full-time invested in a company and it's the right person, as long as you're showing respect to the employees, like, you're investing into them, respecting, when they want time off, regular pay rises, everything you should be doing as an employer, and not just treating someone as a number, like you're going to get much more out of that than you're going to do in theory with a freelancer anyway, because you can grow, develop them with the team. And I think a lot of companies make the mistake that they just see some employees as a number. And, at our agency, I think we're 16 full-time now. And our staff retention rate's high. Most of the people that have been with us since the company started. We've only had literally 1 or 2 people, touch wood, it will happen eventually, handing their notices in. But obviously it will happen. Things change, people change jobs. Like, we're not ignorant enough to know that it's going to happen, but we have got an extremely high retention rate, and I think it's because we're fair to our employees. And you can be like that with freelancers as well, but I just think, if you ever want to get acquired as well, or merge with another company, it's a lot more attractive to invest in. Also, the type of clients we get, if we're working with an enterprise client, we want to go to their office, we want to meet them, we want to show up in our branded hoodies, we want to bring our branded gear, introduce people to the team. And you can't really turn up with a bunch of freelancers sometimes. It's not the same approach. So yeah, freelancing has its place, but I definitely think if you want to sustainably grow, then you need to be looking at hiring full-time.
What about using other vendors? What's your thoughts on that? I know in the past, I can't actually remember. Have you used vendors in the past?
Yes. Yeah. We've used vendors in the past. Yeah. For, and freelancers for, sometimes we'll get an order. We've had orders before where someone's like, hey, we've got, a link target of, XYZ. We need a few hundred links by this date, or we need X amount of content. And yeah, in those cases, if it's a one-off project, then yeah, we'll certainly use vendors. But we'll always communicate. One thing that's really important, I think, with using vendors, it's important that they're sticking to, I guess, like the same quality of work that you're looking to output as well. There's a lot of really good vendor services out there now as well. I've not used one such as the Hoff, but worked with Joe Davies a lot, worked with Fat Joe on a few different projects, worked with yourself, Craig, actually on a couple of things that I've ordered before from my content pal. It's there's a lot there. There's a lot of space, I think, to be able to do it, but it's just, I think, not relying on it.
Fair enough. Yeah, I know a lot of people are against it. I think there's a lot of agencies out there that are struggling, i.e. vendors that are struggling, so you have to be very cautious. Yeah, I've taken the approach of being very transparent. I think I'm going to be even more transparent and actually just release our SOPs and processes just so, you really know what you're getting. So I think if anyone's listening, they should do their due diligence heavily before relying on a vendor.
Yeah, we've seen a few go bust, haven't we? Like a few of the big ones go bust over the last year or so. Why do you think that's been? Is there anything you've spotted with, I guess?
I think they sell with content, before they were selling a commodity, right? Like even to this, like my content technically still sells a commodity. So we're the first to go out of anyone's marketing budget. That's why people use it. So I think some of these other agencies are over leveraged. They've pushed too aggressively. And, now the tide is out. People don't have the bounce back loans, and I would say SEO is under so many threats right now. The industry, for a start, content's under a lot of threats to AI. And then you've got, I would say people's expertise has went up drastically in the past year as well. We're understanding helpful content a lot more. We're understanding, we've got the threat of SGE coming out. So, the industry's changing. These vendors can't keep up. Way too many changes. They're over leveraged. They're the first to go. There's loads of threats. So you have to be very cautious. And I think, I would be scared of the ones shouting about all their wins and not their losses too, because everybody's struggling right now. Yeah.
It's something we see as well, actually. It's we run a lot of campaign, and part of our PR offering is that we always give a guarantee of a minimum amount of campaigns because not everyone hits. We're always going to get to the end goal. We're not every single campaign that we deliver always is going to, generate 100 links. It's not the case. And no matter what any other agency tells you, they're all going through the same thing. I've seen it. I've seen, all you've got to do is scratch the surface a little bit and dig into a few of, these campaigns that are going out in newsletters, and, you run them through SEMrush, and they're not going viral. Some of the ones people are shouting about, there's a lot of threats, especially the digital PR scene as well in the UK. I know it's getting it's been a lot more difficult for people recently. People have been quite, not everyone's been as open about it, but it's the facts. It is what it is, and every agency's going through the same thing. But one interesting thing you said, there's a lot of SEO. SEO can be under threat, yeah. But I think this also brings it back to the point what you were mentioning, Josh, about why you should have an in-house team rather than freelancers, right? Because AI can replicate a content brief, yeah. AI can replace a content piece. It can replace a few different things. But one thing it can't replace is a full team of people that are, critical thinkers, data researchers, expert content writers, technical thinkers, all of them working in synergy to be able to adapt and grow together. AI's, maybe I'll be called out on this in a year or so. I don't think AI will replace that. I don't think it's ever going to be able to replace critical thinking and everything as a whole. I've seen some of the quality. You must have seen it on LinkedIn and some of the articles. It almost seems like the buzz is dying down a little bit. There's some great.
Terrible. It's getting worse. ChatGPT is getting worse. I would argue it's getting much worse. And I think the other thing that's changing the industry is I think people, even to this day, still produce an article in its own little silo. We just focus on that one article. They don't consider it and like they don't consider content funnels, they don't consider the whole funnel, cluster itself. And
No.
ChatGPT won't do that. You need a human to do that. You need a human to go, this is top of funnel, let's feed let's feed the traffic to middle of funnel, then to bottom of funnel, we can convert most here. How are we going to do that? You know, you need a holistic content marketing strategy to perform really well. Now, AI ain't going to do that. Yeah, you need humans. I completely agree. Critical thinking humans.
I think so
They're brilliant
too.
thinkers.
And it's
How
like
are you dealing with all the changes?
I think that's what I'm saying then about really pushing what I said then. Like AI is not going to be able to replace what we've got internally as a team. It's like we're heavy on, we do have a few kind of tools that we use that internally that we've built, but only for streamlining processes, not replacing processes, right? All of the niche site builders and everyone that's been hit recently by the update, wondering why they got hit. Everyone's copying all the content on the first page of Google is the same. People are using AI to get their references for a keyword, which is all from the first page, and everyone's making content from that first page content, and eventually it's a vicious circle, and everyone's just creating the same stuff. So this is again where I think not always. We run our research, of course. We run competitor research. We look at what's ranking already, but one thing we're really, pushing for and kind of selling to our clients now is like, we're working like that critical thinking side of things as well, and also trying to embed ourselves with the companies that we're working with, like understanding the business goals more, making sure we're up to date with them. Like a lot of agencies sign people up in SEO and then just keep the retainer ticking over, and then that's it, rinse and repeat every month. If you have meetings every quarter with the marketing manager, you can know like what new services are they introducing, what new products are they introducing. We have a client in the cybersecurity market, which is really interesting. Like it's like every quarter we had a meeting with them recently for the PR strategy, and it's like finding out all these new threats in cybersecurity to like, the marine industry and just all of these different interesting topics that are happening. That you're never going to get that from just looking at the competitors' blog content. Like, we're really diving in and understanding the businesses a lot more. And
it's so clever.
Yeah,
because you'll find like zero volume keywords out of that. You'll find these keywords that are just springing up that the tools haven't figured out yet, and they could drive tens of thousands of revenue, and it's cost the agency one article. And I think that's the problem with using vendors too. Like you miss out in that thought leadership that you get by going to the client, and we're trying to change this. We're trying to bring out a thought leadership product because it's so important now in the current search. Like it was always important, we just didn't realize it. That's the thing. But you need that. You need to talk to the sales team. You need to speak to the company, and again, a human needs to do that. Like AI won't do that. And
it works both ways as well. We work with a company, Holded, here in Barcelona. They're basically like Xero, the Spanish Xero. They're the accountancy company. So like small to medium businesses. Like we ran a big campaign for them last year, and we're actually at the European Search Awards for it next month. Yeah, sorry, small plug there, but we did together a big PR piece for them, and it was big deep dive. We interviewed over 3,000 small businesses and entrepreneurs in Spain.
Wow.
Found all their problems, found all their issues. The company does electronic invoicing, and there's a law in Spain being introduced this year called the Crea y Crece law, which basically is making electronic invoicing mandatory. Like you can't do paper invoicing anymore. And then from this survey, we found out, I can't remember the exact figure, I might be wrong, but it was over 20% of the people we interviewed hadn't even heard of the law. So then, there's a load more customers right there. There's a marketing message, start pushing that. So we're not just building links, like these surveys we're building, we're passing them on to the sales teams at the client's company themselves, and they're using that to help navigate their marketing messages as well.
It's very cool. Very cool. Pitching that must have been a challenge. No, sounds like a big job to interview that amount of people.
Yeah, well, we used surveys, so we didn't actually interview them. So it's like we used a combination of their internal data. We used Facebook ads, and we used, there was another tool we used, but it was targeting business owners. So yeah, we just put together a list of questions, reached out to everyone in Spain. It was fairly, yeah, it was a reasonable budget that we spent on the data collection.
Awesome.
But yeah, it was, you know,
Very cool.
yeah, it was really, really successful campaign.
Cool. And your team, so like all the changes in Google, SGE coming up, like we speak about having a good team is one of the reasons why companies like Minty are doing so well. How are they staying up to date, and how are they, thinking ahead for things like SGE?
So we have like a monthly all hands. There's a few ways we do it. We have a monthly all hands where we kind of share information on updates. We have a channel on Slack where we're always sharing articles, and then we're always just basically keeping an eye on the landscape. One thing I always push, and I guess this is going around to the original point I was making about kind of like shiny object syndrome and jumping into lots of different projects, is that when we see all these new updates coming out, Web 3.0 is replacing web, but the AI is going to replace SEO. So yeah, definitely keep an eye on it, look into it, but don't change the whole strategy because of this just yet. Like, keep an eye on it, work off the data, see what's actually happening, then adapt to it. With SEO, technical content links, it's been the same since SEO started. That's the core fundamentals. So as long as our fundamentals are based around that, everything else that we kind of learn, all the new updates that we see, as long as they're all tying back to that and we can adapt, improve our processes with it, yeah, we'll kind of implement changes to the company that way. One thing that I would say though is that we are branching out outside of just Google with SEO, because I don't know what you guys think, but like I say, like the amount of updates and changes recently, maybe they'll bring it back round, but I don't want to say like it's gone completely downhill, but it's definitely a lot of changes. I mean, you've seen a lot of
the product is worse, I would say.
Worse, for sure. So one thing that we are looking into a lot more and offering to our customers is like, YouTube SEO. YouTube's blowing up. So put it into, you just whack it through SEMrush and see the type of see the traffic it's getting. I think it's doubled by like 500 million users in the last year alone. Visibility. And then Bing SEO is a big one for us. 1 in 10% of searches are usually done through Bing. And also a lot of those searches are usually from the older generation as well. A lot of companies, like B2B companies, they're given a Microsoft laptop, their default browser is Bing. So a lot of people are using things outside of Google and optimizing for it. So if they're not optimizing for it, you're really missing a trick. A lot of people are just focusing on Google. So that, not got into TikTok SEO just yet. I'm still a bit up in the air about kind of exactly how effective that is. But Amazon SEO, there's a few other services that we are branching out into. App Store optimization. Pardon?
Have you released Minty Go yet? Is that still a secret?
Minty Go. So I'll tell you what happened. So it was working, and our developer who developed the software disappeared off the face of the earth. So so it happens, and I guess this is sometimes what happens when you use freelancers, right? So we got someone in our building to rebuild it, and we're launching it. We're relaunching it actually within the next month. The whole goal around Minty Go is that we get a ton of inquiries that are kind of less than $1,000 a month, SEO wise, and like we can't service that from a consultancy perspective. It's just our costs. We can't service it. So the whole idea around Minty Go is just a more productized service, streamlined, local SEO content. We're actually going to remove the link functionality from it, but just content and small business SEO. That's what we're going to focus on. Anyone that comes through the funnel that's less than certain budget per month, we'll push them through to that. they haven't got to worry about paying for all the extra things that the extra investment costs they need of a larger package, and they can just get a simplified, streamlined service that just builds their traffic month on month.
Why are you getting rid of the links?
Just because it's just, I don't think we can, at the moment, it's not something we can service for that low of a cost. The competition out there for vendors, there's a lot of competition out there. And I'll be honest, like, I don't want to be offering small businesses just like a pay per link service. I just, like, there's a time and there's a place for guest posting. There's a place for paid links. Like, that's controversial, but it's true. And also, like, I've seen some of the big agencies, like, they do offer these kind of services, and they do it. Like, there's a time and place for it. If you actually look at Google's guidelines, it does say you can use paid links if they fit a certain criteria. But there's just too much, like, the DA manipulation. There's too much rubbish out there, and I just think it's quite a hard service to package at a low cost to our customers. For myself, I know other people that have done it successfully, certainly at scale. But for us, I think we're just going to stick to the digital PR because we've got a formula for it, and it works.
So has your role in the business changed to, like, figuring out these new opportunities? I suppose it's always been that, but is your role now more focused on new opportunities, changes in the market, minted gold, things like this?
Yeah. I'm just trying to work out which way the markets are moving. We've got goals for the company. One of them was kind of to fully establish ourselves as like a key player in Spain, Barcelona, which we're well on track with the OKRs for that. UK, we've kind of like still got a presence there, but not something that I'm really pushing. US, we've been pushing quite a bit. We've got a few clients over there now, and planning on making a couple client visits this year. We've been pushing the marketing there, gaining some visibility. But in regards to my role with that, I'm just pointing the team in a direction that we need to go. Like, we have heads of department for each of the services that we offer now. And those 4 people report to me. They manage the team, and I'm just trying to steer the ship in the direction that we want to go. Still involved in some sales, even though we do have a salesperson in-house. Just some projects I do like to get involved with, especially if it's something that I've got a good passion for. But I think just generally kind of steering the ships where I'm trying to focus my energy on.
Yeah, I always think that for sales and stuff, I think it's so much stronger coming from the actual company owner as well. I know we probably don't want to do it for the rest of our lives, but I just think that, I think it would be really hard for me to delegate something like that right now. Yeah,
because people see your face, right? They see your face on LinkedIn, they see your face on Twitter, and everyone's always like, if you want to, if your goal's acquisition, they're always like, if you want to sell your agency, you need to be out of the agency. And I can't really see how that's completely possible immediately. I can't see myself just stepping out. Like, I like to be involved as well. I enjoy it. I enjoy running the company, and I enjoy sales as well. I like talking to people and seeing if we can figure out their problems, and also making sure we're the right provider for them. I think in today's industry, that you're saying, where it's so difficult, probably be quite easy for a lot of agencies to take on the wrong clients just for revenue. Like, it causes so many headaches. I've had it before, and when you start actually, if you have a client that's giving you a headache, like, maybe they want a daily update, or whatever it is, they want to be ranking position 1 in 1 month, and you say when you start breaking down all the costs of all that extra admin time, it's
lose money,
not being profitable. And it's a hard thing. Like, it's easy for me to say now because like we've got good trajectory, but there's definitely been times where we've done that. We've taken on the wrong clients, and it's a hard thing to step away from, to turn down money in your pocket. But you need to do it if you want to be around for the long term.
Yeah.
If you were to go back and meet that Charlie who was doing networking events in Amsterdam, like the first Charlie who did that for the first time, and you were to give him some advice on how he used to scale his agency, what would be the three main things that he should either watch out for or he should do?
Yeah, well, the events was actually worked out well for us. I'd actually say stick with the networking events because I only did a couple of them and then
Keep doing
just
them.
kind of coasted whilst we got them. I think sticking to one service would have been a lot easier to begin with. I think if you have business partners, investors, some of the bigger agencies, I know they have like 4 or 5 CEOs, so it's like then
Many
go
chefs in the kitchen.
offer 15 services, it's fine. But I've always run this company solo, obviously with the team that wouldn't be here without them, but always kind of run that bit by myself. And at the beginning, I've said this a few times on interviews, but if you're offering 8 different services, you need 8 different processes, 8 different teams, 8 different there's 8 different things that can go wrong. If one person leaves, you need to replace them. If you've got one solid product, one team offering a service, it's a lot easier to compound it. And if something goes wrong or someone leaves, you can productize. Yeah, you're almost like productizing the service, right? And it makes it so much easier, so much easier to sleep at night and just manage the business. Like I've seen a lot of we ran Facebook ads for a while, and I've seen all this new consent mode being rolled out, and a lot of people losing data. And it's like, if you're a sole business owner and you've got 5 other services and something like that happens, it's a nightmare trying to juggle things. So tunnel vision would be the main advice to try and give. Focus on one service. Define your customer persona, stick to that, and make sure your marketing's directed towards them. And I think also personal branding. It's something that I've jumped into a bit later. But definitely something that it's a long game, very, very long game, and you need to just be consistent with it.
Yeah, the personal branding thing I built my content pile off my Twitter, built Link City off of Facebook groups, and then I just stopped. And I'm like, imagine I did LinkedIn for the past 4 years. I don't know. Where would you be? So it's consistency with that, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's consistency. And you can't be consistent if you're doing a million things. So it's I keep on saying it, but it's so important. I think just knowing what you're going to offer and sticking to it, it's just massive. It just helps so much more.
Do you think you'll be in this industry for the foreseeable?
I think, yeah, at the moment, I think so. I can't see much changing. Don't know whether I'll be doing SEO when I'm in my 40s and 50s. We'll see.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. I've not really. I enjoy running the company. I quite enjoy growing the companies. I like kind of the energy you get from it. Obviously, you have your bad days. You have your tough days. You have it when you're away and trying to enjoy a nice relaxing time on the beach, and then you'll get a message from client asking you to send something over. But it is what it is. When you take the pros and the cons of what we're doing, I think the pros definitely outweigh the cons. So yeah, it's a great industry, and I can't see myself really doing anything else at the moment.
Yeah, because you're still young. How old were you when you started Minty?
I would have been 27, 26. Yeah, 32 now. Getting there.
Yeah, but Craig, have you got any more questions?
Nope, it's been an insightful chat.
Cool.
Yeah, really enjoyed that one, Charlie. So yeah, Charlie, thank you for coming on. Where can people find you if they want to get in touch?
Twitter, if you I think Charles SEO, you can find me on Twitter. I've not been as active on there recently. Seems to have taken a bit of a turn in the last few months. Just every time I click on it, it doesn't seem to be something I don't want to see. But LinkedIn, a lot more active on LinkedIn. Find me on there, just Charlie Clark Minty Digital. I post a lot on there, about we're doing case studies. Also, we've got a newsletter as well. I'm trying to share my tips. So yeah, give me a follow on that.
Awesome.
Cool. Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you so much for coming on, Charlie. And I'll see you next month in Barcelona.
Yeah, we'll try to get that paddle game in.
Absolutely. Oh man, I've been playing. I've literally got a game at 2 today. I've been playing 3 or 4 times a week at the minute.
Right. I've been slack. I'm starting again on Saturday though. I've got a game in, so we'll see.
Awesome. Are you doing any? You're not doing any events or anything for that ISS?
No, not this time. But we've got some updates coming about a bigger event. Not big, sorry, bigger than the SEO show, bigger than the ISS. But we've got something upcoming. I'll share some details with you. You'll see it on social.
Awesome. Thanks, Charlie.
Awesome. Speak to you
Cheers,
soon.
Charlie.